buying stock in?
I'm buying stock in Bo Nix. I'm buying stock in Bo Nix. And listen, this has a lot more to do with my confidence in Sean Payton and that Denver Broncos defense than it does Bo. But don't look now. The Denver Broncos have won 2 games in a row. It's starting to feel like this kid understands how Sean wants him to play and what their formula has to be in order for the team to win football games. And there's something to be said for that. He went on the road. He beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who fancied themselves a playoff team, a team that won the division a year ago, and they beat the New York Jets in JetLife Stadium. To me, that's impressive for the rookie to show that kind of poise in a game that ended up being a 10-9 score, to not make the consequential mistake and to allow his team to be on a winning side of it. Very, very impressive. I'm buying stock in Bo Nix.
Okay, I love that. Well, since
yeah, I think that's a great point, and people keep kind of missing that, right? That it would have been so easy for him to be the rookie quarterback, make that mistake, put his team on the back foot, and he never did. And people need to see that for the success that it is, because we have plenty of quarterbacks that mess that up, right? Plenty of times, plenty of great elite quarterbacks mess that up, and the fact that Bo Nix didn't, as a rookie, in a awful, disgusting, ugly, weathered game against the New York Jets on the road, it's impressive. It's more impressive than people really understand, quite frankly. They just look and say, 60 yards, 10-9, what did he do? The answer is more than you understand. But yeah, this is interesting, right? Because we have Jaden Daniels, who's obviously been on fire, right? We have Caleb Williams, who's starting to, get a little bit better, little by little by little. And Bo Nix, who's also getting better little by little by little. But not a lot of people are talking about Bo Nix and what the Broncos will be able to accomplish. What can they do? I think Bo Nix and the Broncos got off to a somewhat jarring start to a degree, right? Those first couple of games. And then they had a great win, right? Of course, against the Bucs. And the Bucs continue to be this high-powered team. I'm recording this after the Buccaneers played the Falcons, and that was a huge back and forth overtime win, right? And the fact that they were battling, the fact that the Broncos were able to win that game and Bo Nix was able to play as great as he did, like, that goes a long way. That's honestly that game now versus the Buccaneers is going to continue to age better and better and better. So that both offensively and defensively for the Denver Broncos. So that win's a lot more impressive. And then the problem is that since it was such a awful weather game against the Jets, there was like no more momentum to kind of build off that, right? It's like if Bo Nix continued to play really well and the Broncos played well and they won that game, I don't know, 21-10, 21-14 or something, and Bo Nix threw for 2 touchdowns and 210 yards, right? People would be like, okay, we got something going now. But the problem is that it was then followed up by like 60 yards, right? And all of that. So I feel like some of that momentum that they were having now kind of got deflated, which it makes sense. It's understandable that that's the way kind of the momentum would kind of shift. But I think it's an interesting idea that when we look at some of these quarterbacks, right? And we say they're going to continue to grow, right? They're going to continue to evolve and get better and better. Even if we don't think, even if these quarterbacks end up not being as elite and generational as some people think they are, whether it's Caleb, Jaden, Bo Nix, whoever, all of these quarterbacks for the most part are going to get better. The real question is how much better will they get, right? And how and what will they look like as the season goes along? And to me, that is where the interesting question is, right? As Bo Nix continues to improve, right? What does that fundamentally look like? What does that do for the Denver Broncos? What does that do for the play calling of Sean Payton, right? How does that end up being more complementary to the defense that the Denver Broncos have? If Bo Nix continues to improve and starts to get more comfortable with running an NFL offense, and he gets more comfortable against the blitz and turning the ball over less, I feel that we could see, and maybe Bronco fans might not want to hear this, but this is a positive, I promise you. I saw Kirk Cousins tonight. I'm recording this video right now at 1 o'clock in the morning, like an hour or so after I had just watched. I watched the game on like a on a delay. I watched it recorded through Amazon Prime or whatever, and so I just had kind of just watched it through, and you have Kirk Cousins, right? He was in such command. Kirk Cousins is not fancy, right? And Greg Cosell, brilliant guy who breaks down the film on Colin Cowherd's show a lot. He kind of talked about this, and it's something that I say all the time as well, right? How people think you have to be so hypermobile and do all this type of stuff to be a great quarterback, and then you see someone like a Jared Goff, a Kirk Cousins, who have such command in the pocket. They have such great anticipation, rhythm, and timing. Kirk Cousins' anticipation, which, for those of you maybe who aren't 100% known, like, we're talking about like throwing the ball not necessarily where the receiver is, right? Not just throwing over the ball to just a wide open receivers, right? It's really anticipating where they're going to be. You're oftentimes throwing the ball before they're even looking at you, before they're even at their spot, right? And Kirk Cousins and Jared Goff, two quarterbacks that really don't get a ton of attention relative to the Josh Allens, the Lamars, the Joe Burrows, and of course the Patrick Mahomes. And when you look at Kirk Cousins, when you really watch it, I really, encourage you to at least watch the offensive highlights of the Falcons. And Kirk Cousins threw for 509 yards, okay? It was insane. Some of his throws, his level of accuracy, his ball placement, his confidence, his pocket presence, his anticipation, his rhythm and timing was quite extraordinary. It really was. It was very, very special. Very special. And yet the average person does not look at those types of players as special. Same thing as Jared Goff's perfect game even, right? If Bo Nix can start to get comfortable in that general vicinity, of course he's not going to be like Kirk Cousins and Jared Goff right now, as those are two seasoned veterans, and Bo Nix is just a rookie. But that will be what Bo Nix's superpower is. Bo Nix is definitely more mobile than people give him credit. But Bo Nix's level of consistency, right? His rhythm and timing, his anticipation, his level of accuracy and ball placement. Once he can just start to get more and more and more comfortable just in this general vicinity, you're going to be able to see everything open up for the Denver Broncos, right? It's going to give Sean Payton a tremendous amount of confidence behind Bo Nix, but now just also behind this offense. It's just going to open up the playbook. It's going to be able to make this offense obviously significantly better. And when you have also obviously a better offense, it's going to take off some of the burden of the defense. And it's just, again, I'm a firm believer in offense influencing defense and defense influencing offense. We like to see it as just a split, and it's just not that. And the best way to look at it is of course, if you have a better defense, then you're going to often get extra possessions for your offense. That's going to make your offense better, or you're going to get better, field position, which is going to help your offense, of course, right? You're going to turn the ball over less, and so you're going to have less 3 and outs, and so now your defense is going to be more well rested and not constantly, on their back foot or having to defend against, getting the ball on their own 30, immediately because of a fumble or a turnover or whatever. And I think that's also something that doesn't get talked enough about. So both of these things start to improve. So just as Bo Nix improves, so does the defense, right, as well. And when the defense improves, that's a synergistic effect of the offense of the Denver Broncos. And I'll be the first one to admit, I don't know what that all looks like in practice for the Denver Broncos. I'm not going to sit here and say the Denver Broncos, if they win a couple other games, they're going to the playoffs. They're going to compete with the Chiefs, and they can knock them out. They can win the division. Like, I'm not going to be so bold to say that. But I think, like, we've kind of lost sight a little bit of the progress that Bo Nix is making week to week to week, especially when someone like Jaden Daniels is just, obviously he just really hit the ground running. And it's just an exciting prospect to think that Bo Nix is going to continue to get it, and that we'll probably see, hopefully, ideally in the next few weeks, kind of like a pretty good jump forward, right? Like a click, right? It's dark, now it's light, right? We should see that. Again, is it going to be in the next couple weeks, the next 5 weeks? Who really honestly knows? But when that happens, when he can start doing some of these other little things, it's just going to be really exciting, because I think it really will be momentum building. And that's why Chris Candy's like, I'm buying that stock, right? It's banking on that's going to happen. And when it does, you're going to get some momentum building. And look no further, and this is why I use the Kirk Cousins example, because Kirk Cousins, not only when the Falcons didn't have Kirk Cousins last year, right, that offense was doing a whole lot of nada, right? And then even this year, Kirk Cousins got off to a little bit slower of a start. He was obviously like still working through some health stuff, kind of like physically, like he definitely wasn't really like moving much against the Steelers. But then as you see him get better and more comfortable physically, also as well, you start to see him get more and more settled, because he also hadn't played football in a long time, right? Because he got injured last season pretty early on too. So there was a significantly long period of time before, he was really playing legitimate football. But you could see as he started to get better and better and more comfortable and confident in that offense, like you saw like a jump. I mean, again, he threw for 509 yards. I mean, it's insane. I think they put up 36 points, I think is what it was, because, they don't kick the extra point in overtime. Pretty sure that's what it was. Like, it's just such a massive leap. If you look and see what they did against the Buccaneers, right, versus what they did against the Eagles, against the Steelers, right, against the Saints even, like, it was just like, whoa, this is what this offense can do when you have your quarterback comfortable. Right, when you have him hitting his guys, when he's making those tight window throws, when he's got unbelievable anticipation, and timing. Like I'm telling you, look at some of those plays, some of the highlights, unbelievable. And I'm not saying that Bo Nix has to already beat Kirk Cousins, a seasoned veteran, but it just changes everything. It just changes everything, and quickly. That's what I'm trying to emphasize. Like, it changes things quite drastically. That offense was night and day different from week 4 or week 5, I guess, to week 1 and 2 and 3, even, for that matter. So that's why I think it's actually probably a pretty good bet, a pretty good buy now with Bo Nix, because we're at the bottom of Bo Nix, and once we start to kind of rise more and more and more, I think it'll be greater. I don't think it's going to be 1 + 1 = 2. I think it's going to be 1 + 1 = like 8, right? Because I think that's honestly what we just saw with Kirk Cousins, right? He crossed this threshold of like, okay, I'm feeling physically myself now. I'm feeling comfortable at the quarterback position. I feel like the Atlanta Falcons are my team. I'm comfortable in this system. I'm comfortable with these guys. I get it. I know what the team needs out of me. Let's go. And they did it. So I'm anticipating that to kind of eventually unfold for Bo Nix and the Denver Broncos. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about Bo Nix and the Denver Broncos? Are you buying or selling his stock? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I'd absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.